Farm workers, in terms of the historical perspective, never enjoy any rights in South Africa. You see, under apartheid and under the new democratic government, farm workers' rights still haven't been restored. And CSAAWU's mission and the formation of CSAAWU was motivated to change that situation for farm workers, to mobilize for farm workers, to strengthen the voice. You see, CSAAWU believe that farm workers is the only force, if it's organized in an organization, a militant organization, that can address the problems that they experience. And the problems and the challenges that farm workers experience today as I speak is a question of clean water, is a question of housing, it's a question of transport. It's a question of that the children are in a safe environment. It's a question of is that the children will be evicted from a farm then they reach age of 18. It's a question of the oppression of women on farms, especially women workers are not being employed permanent anymore. It's a question of the overcoming the division between African and colored and migrant workers.
As much about their fortunes, they don't care about the poor people. They as much about their bakkies, as much about their bead houses, as much everything is about their children, the universities and in the world. Hence our people remain poor. It is now for the last 25 years that those people are poor. They expand their business. But the workers who currently work on the farm, they are not benefit. There is absolutely no benefit, you see. And our people are starving. Today is raining. If it rained the entire week or the whole week, those people are not getting paid. They are putting off today. The farmers tell them, no, you can't work. There's a rain, and the concern of the workers, if the rain the whole week, that means the entire week they are not paying, they are without income. They and their children are starving. Some of them cannot even afford their children to go to school. Some of them can't even provide the basic food for our children because they don't have money. It is the conditions where people live in. That is their showers, that is their bathrooms, that is the conditions where the workers must must what you call washing and so on. So I just want you to can see there is no upgrading. The conditions is not acceptable for a human being to love.
This is only a glimpse of the horror movie farm workers have to put up each and every day in South Africa. It's our duty to restore our people's dignity, because no one is going to do that. We have to organize our people here. We have to give our people hope. And we have to ensure that we make a difference to improve the lives of our people. Because farm workers don't get the recognition they deserve. It's farm workers who feed us. It's farm workers. Without farm workers we can't live, because the vegetables comes from the farm, the meat comes from the farm, but farm workers are being treated like they are nothing. And if we are not going to do something about it, we help our people, nobody will. To moan won't get us anywhere. We have to stand up as a collective, organize, mobilize our community, ensure that we go forward. By doing that, organize and mobilize our people, then victory is certain. Amandla.
Ja, ek is Valencia. Ek was op die 21ste was ek aangeklaap omdat ek nie die eienaar wil gegroet het nie. Maar ek het my hoekom ek hom wil groet nie, omdat ek voel hy is besig om my te intimideer. Elke keer wil hy soggens vir my sy selfoon, wag hy vir my in die selfoon, dan wil hy vir my kom video speel. Waar swart mense mekaar uitbrand en waar die kinders wat vir my sê hoe ek my kinders moet leer en sulke goed. Toe ek gevoel hy is besig om soms vir my te intimideer, en as ek met hom praat, hy altyd vir my lelike woorde wat hy vir my gee, en Ja, en die oggend was vir my so goed. Hoe voel ek wil hom nie goed hê. Hy moet nie nog saam met my praat hê want ek wil niks meer om te doen hê nie. Ja, en op die 5de was ek verhoog gewees en die verhoogsaak het goed afgeloop. Maar ek het nog nie die uitslag gekry wat nou gaan gebeur met my op die plaasie en ja, en dan sit ons met 'n probleem vervoer vir ons kinders na die hoërskool. Wanneer ons kinders klaar geleer het by die uitnoodskooltjie waar daar vervoer is vir ons kinders, maar as hulle moet dorp toe gaan, daar is daar nie vervoer vir ons kinders nie. Dan ons kom nou al vir die hele jaar al aan dat ons vra vir die bestuur of daar nie vervoer vir ons kinders na die hoërskool is nie. Dat hy elke keer vir ons gesê hy sal kyk en hy sal kyk, maar hy kom nooit volgende daarom vir ons te sê of hy vir ons vervoer gaan gee vir die kinders nie. Ons die probleem kom nou al die jare. Ek voel nie, ek het nog 'n babatjie wat ek hoor, ek voel nie dat my kind ook eendag dieselfde moet deurmaak wat ek deurmaak nie. Ek wil my kind ook sien deur die universiteit se hekke stap. Dit is my droom dat my kind ook moet verder gaan leer. Maar as daar nog nooit vervoer dat kom vir ons kinders nie, gaan dit ook my kind wees wat môre ook net gaan sit by Sanne 5 gaan en ook die skool gaan want ek het en daar se die jong kinders alle by die plaas het soveel jong kinders wat in die skool moet gaan omdat hulle nie vervoer het nie want hulle maak kyk kom by die skool en ons werk en elke dag ons werk vir hom. Hoe kan hy vir my sê hy kan nie vir ons kinders vervoer gee na die hoërskool toe nie?
Ek is Skuggsida. Is 'n noemnaam van my op die plaas en ek wil die waarlik baie bewus maak van wat op hierdie plaas gaan. Ons as werkers op hierdie plaas, ons is 26 werkers. Maar nie een van ons werkers het waarlik 'n reg om sy werkersregte en sy menslike regte uit te lewe op hierdie plaas nie. Wat die werkgewer aan ons genoem het is dat geen een van julle het 'n reg op hierdie plaas nie. Hy sê dis net hy en sy bestuur wat saam met hom op die plaas is, maar geen werker het enige regte op hierdie plaas nie. Ons het voor ons met die CSAAWU ingetree het, was alles vir ons gratis en alles was vry. Maar naarmate die tyd aangeloop het en ons by die CSAAWU ingetree het die werkgewer alles van die werknemers af teruggetrek. Daar is vir hulle geen voordele op die plaas wat jy kan noem nie. Daar is die vervoer na dorpe toe nie. Hulle sê daar is vervoer na dokters toe, maar enigstens as dit kom by 'n geval waar enige werker seer kry, al is dit ook in die werk, moet jy wag tot wanneer een van hulle by die bestuur van die plaas is, miskien in dorp toe gaan, want dit is die enigste Robertson is die naaste dorp van hierdie plaas af, om by 'n dokter te kom. En die tyd toe het kom verlede Vrydag, donderdag met die aankoms van Vita na hierdie plaas toe, het ons by mekaar gekom. Hy wou gehad ons met Vita se papiere teken. Ons het geteken, maar dit was onder dwang geweest. En toe ons dit nie wou teken nie, kom hy daar en hy sê, as julle nie wil teken nie man, klim op my lorrietjie, dan ek julle huis toe vat, en dan sal ek besluit, wanneer ek julle weer werk wil gee. En die werkers het benoud geraak. Ek het net vastgesit daarso, want ek het vir hom gesê, sy houding wat hy het teenoor die werkers, gaan ons nie aan nie. En hy het vir my gesê, maar, wie is ek om te kom sê? Toe sê ek maar, ek is die shopsteward van die mense, ek is die leier van hierdie werkers, en ek is hulle mond. As dit kom en daar moet gepraat word, dan word deur my gedoen word, en ek praat namens hulle. En ek en hy het 'n strydery aangegaan. Maar hy wou nie ingee nie. Verder vertel hy vir ons, dat sy moer is net so klein. Dat wat hy eintlik daardeur probeer sê is, hy het geen respek vir enige van hierdie werkers nie. En dit is wat hierdie werkers seer maak. In die werk, self, by die pesticides, die gifstof wat gespuit word, daar is geen beskermingsklere nie. Daar is niks wat oopkrekers word gedoen, dit maak nie saak wat 'n soort gif dit is nie. Hier is die getuies, en dit maak nie saak waar ons werk nie. Hulle sê vir ons net, die gifstowwe is nie giftig nie. Het maak nie saak na watter plek jy gaan, of wie jy gaan sê nie. Dat is sy plaas en niemand sê vir hom. Dat is wat hierdie werkgewer aan ons noem.
What you see in this area that we're coming from now is called the Achterperel area. This is where they do diverse farming. They've got livestock, they've got what you call clona. Clona is the kind of plant that is used to make oil. And then there is wheat wheat which is meant for making bread and other stuff. So that kind of farming is happening in that area. So different seasons require different kinds of spraying of pesticide. For grapes, for peaches, and for others, they would use your tractors, which will spray while the workers are working. They will spray. It's normal for them to spray pesticide while the workers are working. And then what further happens after the season of the grape, and then it's clona and wheat. When you come to that season, they don't use tractors to spray pesticide. They then hire a plane that comes and spray pesticide. But during that process, they would then remove all their livestock. Farmers will inform each other to remove livestock away from the area that's going to be sprayed, inform their families to vacate this place and go to other places that are much more safer. So what happens is that during that process is that these farmers, when they're going to spray pesticide, farm workers are never informed to say, listen here, be prepared. There's going to be spraying taking place, aerial spraying, more special aerial spraying. Ne? They're not informed. Their families are not informed. Their dogs, cats are not protected. Ne? They got small gardens also, these farm workers, whereby it's their food chain, food supply. So also that these plantations that I'm referring to are mostly around farm worker houses. If you can go to any farm worker, you'll find that these houses are surrounded by vegetation of whatever. So when this helicopter or plane will come, it will come sweep over the houses, even if the workers are working or on their way home or standing or children playing, whatever activity is taking place there, they don't care. They come and spray, and they turn around and they come and spray, and all of this chemical will be drifted through the air into their homes, inside their houses, into their furniture, on their cutlery, into the food, all over. You see, this spray, it's so dangerous because this pesticide is meant to kill. Ne? It's not meant to make you look much more beautiful.
Women also they are paid less. They've become the kind of piece labor. They fill in the gaps. And when farmers restructure, it is the men who are the permanent workers and the women who are the seasonal workers, who are the piece workers, like that. So the discrimination against women in terms of labor practice is also quite high. Yeah, there is a lot of work that I think we need to do to raise awareness of the impact of alcohol on them as women, on the reproductive health, especially in relation to fetal alcohol syndrome, and generally in relation to the quality of life. And we always argue, and I argue very strongly, that it's alcohol and the abuse of alcohol that weakens our movement and weakens our consciousness to fight, and it gives power to the hands of the farmers. But also, if you have a problem with alcohol, it means you are dependent on the farmer for many things and so on. So this issue of alcohol has an impact on the social fabric, on the violence that we see over weekends, the extreme violence and so on. I think that for me the issue is not simply, as we heard today, that we need to have a system of getting people good health care and education. So the things that we've got to overcome are many, including rebuilding, and you've had an experience of this, I think 50 years ago, 70 years ago in Sweden, where you had to rebuild cultural societies, You had to rebuild sports, clubs, and a whole new workers' culture to deal with this big question. And I think such a movement is required here as well, because these things are not disconnected. The violence is not disconnected from alcohol, is not disconnected from poverty and inequality and isolation and lack of infrastructure and so on and so on. So women bear the brunt of this structural problems that we see.
Yeah, the migrant situation in Robertson is very awful. It's worse than the ordinary South African workers. Migrant workers are even scared to speak to people when they ask them for interviews, and so because they fear for not getting jobs, they fear for being deported, and they fear for victimization, because there's many stories that we can tell about migrant workers. Migrant workers are not even benefiting from the labor laws of South Africa. They are not even benefiting from the sick leave. When they got injured on duty, the farmers are just dumping them in the township clinic, and then they left, leaving them alone there. So they came to our offices and then they asked for assistance, and when we assist them and we ask for the information of the employer, then they don't know even where is the farm or what is the name of the farm. So this is the situation of migrant workers here in Robertson. Especially migrant women, they are exposed to many bad things here on the farms and in the workplaces. They, like I say, they are not benefiting from any labor relation laws in South Africa. They are merely there to work, and in most cases they are working for less than the minimum wages of South Africa. So they accept these wages because they are desperate to survive, and they came here to look just for a job so that they can feed their family back home. We advocate for educating our members and educating migrant workers about their rights, and we're educating our members about the reasons why migrants come to work in our country, and we say to them that this is not our enemies, this is our brothers and sisters, and we have a common cause, and we are working for a common cause, and that is the reason why we should work together and not against each other, despite the circumstances, because these situations are created by the bosses, and it's not our brothers and sisters from other countries that is creating this chaos that is existing here in South Africa. Migrant workers are living here in sacks. They are living without water, without sanitation. They have normally just one tap that they have to feed about 500 to 600 sacks, and they have no toilets. They have to go out in the bushes. So they are staying in sacks in the mountain, as you can see at the back of me, and that is where migrant workers are staying. So they are living like animals here in this country. As CSAAWU, we believe that we can change if we unite the working class, and the working class exists out of migrant workers and workers in communities that are poor, that are suffering because of the exploitation of the bosses against workers. And this is why we try by all means to unite the workers, including the migrant workers, so that we can fight for better working conditions, better living conditions. And as CSAAWU, we are not only fighting for the workers' rights, but we are fighting for community rights, for community needs and these kind of things. That is why one of our resolutions in our last Congress was to work towards social movement unionism, and that is to include the struggle of communities into the struggle of the workplaces.
To the Sweden people, I want to be honestly, the wine you're drinking day by day, it came from us as labor brokers and farmers workers who struggle not since the 2000 centuries, but before, back in the 80s and the 60s. That is a lot for us that put in day by day. So you enjoy that wine, and we don't have a problem. But if you drink that wine, think where is it coming from. Think of the conditions on the farm, where it's coming from, who provide those wine, who educate those stocks and the vineyards, who give the sweat and the blood to those kind of things, whose benefit without those wine is not the farm workers. We must be, I'm honestly today to say to the Sweden people, think again if you drink that wine, where does it coming from? We are not against the white farmers in South Africa as the trade union, we have a difficulty as CSAAWU. We are against the things that they do to us. It's not that we as CSAAWU hate the whites, is what we hate in the trade union is what they do to us in South Africa.
Socialist,